Welcome to the 5-Minute Prime Podcast. Quick, actionable tips to master personal finance and real estate investing. In just 5 minutes a day, we'll help you build wealth and achieve financial freedom. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the 5-Minute Prime Podcast. I'm your host, Martin Maxwell, and this is episode 40. Today, we're tackling everyone's favorite topic, okay, maybe least favorite, property taxes. Those bills that seem to magically appear each year, often looking a little bit bigger than the last time. If you're a homeowner, you know the feeling. If you're a renter, you might be feeling it indirectly through rent increases. And if you're an investor, property taxes are a major line item in your expense calculations. Recent reports show property taxes are climbing significantly in many parts of the country. Why is this happening? How does it impact the already challenging housing affordability we talked about in episode 30? And most importantly, is there anything you can actually do about it? So why does that property tax bill seem to have a life of its own, always trending upwards? It's usually a combination of three key factors creating a triple squeeze. First, the inflation's bite. The same inflation that's hitting your grocery bill also hits local governments. Property taxes are the primary way local governments fund essential services. Think schools, police, fire departments, road maintenance. Data shows property taxes often make up the majority of local tax revenue. When the costs for salaries, fuel, materials, and everything else go up for your local government, they often need to raise property taxes to cover those increased expenses. 2. Soaring property values. The real estate market has been on a wild ride over the past few years. While things might be balancing out nationally, as we discussed in episode 34, home values in many areas are still significantly higher than they were pre-pandemic. Property taxes are typically calculated based on the assessed value of your home, ad valorem tax. So even if the tax rate doesn't change, if your home's value goes up, your tax bill likely will too. This has been a major factor in fast-growing states like Florida and Texas. Lastly, my least favorite, reassessments. Local governments don't reassess property values every single year. They do it periodically, maybe every few years, depending on state law. If your area hasn't been reassessed in a while and property values have shot up significantly since the last assessment, that next reassessment can lead to a sudden, sharp jump in your property tax bill. And this isn't just an abstract number on a bill. Rising property taxes have a very real impact on housing affordability, too. For homeowners, for example, a higher property tax bill means a higher monthly housing cost, plain and simple. This can strain budgets, especially for those on fixed incomes like retirees. In some areas with rapidly increasing taxes, we've seen reports of longtime residents struggling to afford to stay in their homes. And for the renters, don't think you're immune just because you don't own. Landlords treat property taxes as an operating expense. When their taxes go up significantly, they often pass those increased costs along to tenants in the form of higher rent. This contributes to rising rental costs, especially in high-demand markets. Now, for investors, property taxes are a major operating expense that directly impacts your cash flow and net operating income. Unexpectedly high taxes can turn a profitable deal into a losing one. Okay, so taxes are going up and it's making housing less affordable. It feels frustrating, but you're not powerless. Let's talk about strategies to fight back, starting with a look at Florida. Now we know knowledge is power and action is key. You can potentially lower your property tax bill, but you need to understand the process and be proactive. Let's use Florida as a detailed example, as many states have similar principles, but the specifics vary. Step 1, understand your assessment and exemptions. In Florida, like most places, your taxes are based on your property's assessed value. But Florida has some key protections for homeowners. Homestead exemption. If it's your primary residence, you can likely qualify for the homestead exemption, which currently exempts up to $50,000 of your home's assessed value from certain property taxes, like school taxes on the first $25,000 and county city taxes on the next $25,000. This can save homeowners hundreds, sometimes over $1,000 a year. Next is the Save Our Homes Cap, SOH. This is huge for Florida homeowners. Once you have your homestead exemption, the annual increase in your property's assessed value, not market value, is capped at 3%, or the Consumer Price Index, CPI, whichever is lower. This prevents your taxable value from skyrocketing even if market values are booming. There are other exemptions too. Florida also offers additional exemptions for seniors, veterans, disabled individuals, and widows/widowers. Take the action to check your county property appraiser's website for all exemptions you might qualify for and apply for them. They aren't automatic. Next step here is to check your trim notice. Florida homeowners receive a notice of proposed property taxes, often called a trim notice, usually in August. This isn't your final bill, but it shows your property's assessed value, the exemptions applied, the proposed tax rates, and an estimate of your taxes. If you haven't already, review this notice immediately and carefully. Does the assessed value seem accurate? Are all your exemptions listed? Now, if you disagree with the assessed property tax, what's the appeal process? If you believe your assessed value is too high compared to similar properties, market value appeal, or that it's assessed unfairly compared to neighbors, equity appeal, or if you were denied an exemption you qualify for, you can appeal. Here's the typical Florida process. Step 1, informal contact. First, contact your county property appraiser's office. Sometimes simple errors can be corrected informally. Bring any evidence you have, like recent sales data for comparable homes, etc. Make sure you come prepared. Step 2, formal petition to the Value Adjustment Board or VAB. If you can't resolve it informally, you must file a formal petition with the VAB. Crucially, there's a strict deadline, typically just 25 days after the trim notices are mailed, usually falling in mid-September. Make sure you do not miss this deadline. Check your county VAB website for the exact date. Step 3, gather your evidence formally. This is key to winning an appeal. You'll need strong evidence to support your claim. This could include recent sales data of comps that sold for less than your assessed value, a private appraisal, though this costs money, photos of your property highlighting issues that negatively impact its value, for example, needed repairs, estimates for significant repairs needed. For income properties, income and expense statements showing lower than expected performance. Step 4, attend the VAB hearing. You'll present your case to a special magistrate at a hearing. Be prepared, be organized, be polite, and stick to the facts supported by your evidence. The property appraiser's office will also present their case. The magistrate will make a recommendation to the VAB, which makes the final decision. Now, that's Florida, but the principles applies even outside Florida. Just to recap. So, property taxes are rising due to a mix of inflation, higher home values, and government service needs, putting a strain on affordability for homeowners and renters alike. But you don't have to just sit back and accept the bill. Understanding the assessment process, checking for all available exemptions like the Homestead in Florida or Texas, and knowing how to appeal an unfair assessment are powerful tools. It requires being proactive and doing your homework, but the potential savings are well worth the effort. Now, here's your challenge for today. Dig out your most recent property tax assessment notice or bill. First, check if you're receiving all the exemptions you're entitled to, especially the homestead exemption if it's your primary residence. Second, look at the assessed value. Does it seem reasonable compared to recent sales in your neighborhood? Start familiarizing yourself with your own property tax situation. Your firsthand knowledge is the first step to potentially lowering that bill. And as always, if you found this episode helpful, please subscribe to the 5-Minute Prime podcast, share it with a homeowner or renter feeling the tax squeeze, and leave us a review. You can find more resources and tools at raprime.com. I'm Martin Maxwell. Remember, you have more power than you think when it comes to property taxes. Be informed, be proactive, and fight for a fair assessment.